Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Winner's Circle Vegas Legends. Sitting here doing a preview of college football playoffs and college basketball action. I am your host, Chip Chirimbes. My special guest this week is Scott Pritchard. Scott, you're pounding the books here in Las Vegas, and I understand you're closing in on contests in the final weeks. And how do we stand here at the Golden Nugget and wherever else you might have big-time games?
Well, I appreciate you having me on the show, my friend. I enjoy being on this show, this forum, talking sports and college basketball, anything and everything we wanted to know about sports betting, but we're ultimately too afraid to ask. You can find out right here. But to your question, the Golden Nugget contest, 1 week to go, 7 games, point spreads only, college and pro football. Right now, I'm in second place, tied with 2 others. And then the Circa Invitational, our boy, our friend, our mentor, colleague from this channel, from this site, Paul Bovey and I both made the Elite 8, 70% of the field. Hasta la vista, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, eliminated. But Paul and I both made the Elite 8. I'm right now a half game out of third. I'm tied for fourth. Paul, respectfully, just 1 game behind me. But knowing Bovey, he'll find a way to leapfrog me at the last minute here. But congratulations to you, the RJ Bowl Challenge. I think you went 11-2-1. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You took first place. Congrats.
Thank you. Sometimes the ball bounces your way. That's why we have the Church of the Holy Point Spread, so that we can pray each and every day that ball will bounce our way. Scott, by the way, great job. Congratulations. And I'm looking forward to seeing you and Paul. This is gamblersworld.net, and what you're witnessing is true champions and people that are live right now giving you their selections and insights. These are people that make their living by betting professional sports, and Scott has been doing it for 2 decades that I know of right now. Scott, big doings in the football playoffs. I swept the board right now in the playoffs as far as the championships go. Ohio State and Texas survived. Line comes up surprisingly strong, considering Texas's reputation and the way everyone seemed to think that they were going to just rough rod give Arizona State a lesson in college football action. But Ohio State's open 6, Scott. What do you think of that?
Well, it's very interesting to me on this show. As you a week ago, I talked about specifically one of my better plays was the over Red Rover 55 points in the Oregon-Ohio State game, and they nearly got there in the first half with 41 points. But Ohio State, you and me, we also talked about the fact that Ohio State, they are a juggernaut. This is a team that can run, they can pass, they're well balanced, they're well coached, they have a proven history, they had the revenge factor. So the fact that they laid it on Oregon as a small 2.5 point favorite was fun, with a capital F. Pasadena, the Rose Bowl, something that you and I know something about. We didn't know each other back in '93, but the Super Bowl with the Bills and the Cowboys, you were there, I was there. I've been to 6 Super Bowls, but you've been to 24. What I can do, Chip Chirimbes, boys and girls, can do better. Ohio State favored by 6 against Texas. I get it. People generally only remember, Chip, what they saw most recently. And the fact that, and we talked on this show again, Arizona State plus the 13.5 against Texas, documented video evidence right here, right now. Check the archives if you question anything that the Chipper and I happen to say. But the fact is, Arizona State should have won that contest. I don't know how, if you have a targeting rule, how do you not call targeting on that last drive for Arizona State during regulation?
That was terrible, because they would have won that game. And, I actually had a little bit of future action on Arizona State to win it all, believe it or not, because I really thought they were a solid club. They weren't being given any kind of kudos by anybody. They could have pulled that game out if, like I said, the official hadn't targeted this team right here. And, Ohio made a statement, Ohio State. They were my bowl game of the year, and they came out and just annihilated Oregon. It wasn't even close. That's why this number, I think, was a bit inflated. If the game had been a little bit more competitive, Scott, most likely the line would be around 3, and maybe even closer to pick 'em. I know last night, listen to VSiN, there were people coming out that said they thought Texas should be the favorite, and I don't think either of us believe that at all. They struggled here. I mean, they got off that big start, had 14 points, and only had the ball in 41 seconds of possession, and it looked like at that time Texas was golden. I mean, this guy is incredible. I mean, this Golden's so fast, and any key situation. This team had a 4th and 13 in the overtime, and they converted a touchdown on it from the 30. So you have to have a lot of luck to be winning like that. And I guess most people feel that their luck's going to be running out this week. Time will tell. We'll see. And the other matchup, of course, we have Notre Dame and Georgia been postponed, of course, till Thursday night. And that's a tough call right now to pick them. The line has fluctuated between each side being favored by 1. Right now, we have Notre Dame by 1, and we'll see how that one ends up, as most of you will probably be watching this after that game is over. Okay, Scott. Everyone out there, everyone out there should give us a like right now, because we're going to give you college basketball action. We'll have more college football action for you next week. And of course, we'll be here each and every week. gamblersworld.net. Scott Pritchard, one of the finest active handicappers in the country right now. Would you say second in gold and the Golden Nugget, and third in the Circa contest? This is incredible right now at the end of the year, and this is year in and year out for you, Scott. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm proud to have you here with us. So let's go right now to an SEC battle. Florida, number 6 in the nation, undefeated, is traveling to Kentucky. Kentucky's had a couple defeats, 11-2, but still formidable. I see Kentucky as a small favorite, this close to being pick'em, with Florida having the higher ranking. Any insights as to what's going on here with these two teams? This is Saturday, by the way, for everyone out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this contest, Florida versus Kentucky. I feel that Florida has an advantage with the fact that they have not played since December 29th, so they are well rested. That's the good news. The bad news is I feel strongly Kentucky has the better team. They played the much, much tougher schedule. And this team, the thing I like about Kentucky is home cooking, great offense, decent defense. They're a complete team. You know, you have so many guys on this team averaging double figures. So, I mean, if you're Florida, who do you key on? Ultimately, you always want to take away the number one scorer. But the fact is, they spread the ball, they share the points. Kentucky, the fact that they played a much tougher schedule, the fact that they're at home. Let us not forget this team every year, because so many of these players go to the NBA. They had to revamp their entire roster because of the transfer portal, but they just do one thing. They show up and they win, and I expect the same thing on Saturday. Kentucky wins.
You know, all those years that Calipari was there, and he was using the system and taking players who are coming and going one and done. I was telling people I thought he was doing an incredible job of coaching each year, trying to get these guys who are total strangers, who are only interested in themselves and their future career, can actually play together. You know, people have been disappointed he hasn't been able to win as many championships. I think he won one, and they had anticipated than they had hoped for. But I still thought it was a great coaching job, and a lot of other people feel very differently about it. By the way, Florida's 10-3 against the numbers, Scott. They beat Kentucky the last time they met in overtime, but for the most part, Kentucky dominates the series. They've won 8 of the last 10 against them. And you're saying, how do you think they're a better overall team? And they've also gone 7-2-1 against the number in those 10 games. So the edge at home may belong on the Wildcats side. And the Gators, by the way, always seem to be a team, Scott, over the years that I would like and get to support. And in a big game situation, they just wouldn't get there. You know, so many afternoons and times I'd be listening to their games down in South Beach, and they just wouldn't get there. But we'll see what happens here. They're at Kentucky, and the Wildcats, I think, have a little bit of an advantage. In the Big 12, there's been a transition. I mean, we used to have Baylor out there fighting it against Kansas every year, and Kansas, of course, has dropped a little bit, Sean. And Baylor is now ranked in the top 25. Hadn't gotten off to the kind of start that they had anticipated, but the Bears are going to Iowa State. And this Cyclone team, not only in football, but in basketball, has really rejuvenated the program. 11-1 at this time right now. The Cyclones at home, going to be favored over the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, Baylor 9-3 versus 11-1 Iowa State. The Cyclones playing at home, Ames, Iowa, Hilton Coliseum. They are world beaters no matter where they play, but especially at home. There's a reason why this team, Chip, there's a reason why they're ranked 3rd in the entire country. They're coming off a road win at Colorado. They have not 1, not 2, not 6, not 7, but 8 consecutive wins. And here's the thing I look at, point differential. They average 88 points a game while only yielding 68 points a contest. So not only do they win by an average of 20 points. What a daunting task for Baylor to go on the road. Good news for Baylor coming off a big win against a weak sister Utah, 81-56 the final in that contest. But again, Iowa State, they're no Utah. So go Cyclones. I expect Iowa State to win and win big.
All right, they could always win and win without covering the number, getting into the number. You like them to win big at home. I know they've been pretty dominant, and they've been very good to us, by the way. But, both these teams are prolific offensively. Scott, I mean, Baylor's going 7-2 to the over in their last 9, and Iowa State's going 7-3 to the over in their last 10. So maybe that's the way to go. Winning streak right now for Iowa State is in jeopardy. They have 8 straight wins. Baylor's a quality team, but I think the home court and the type of defense that this Cyclone team plays is going to give them the advantage. Sean, I have a game here that I'm really interested in because of 2 different reasons. Arizona, ranked 24, is going to be at Cincinnati, and the Bearcats, whatever's a Bearcat, 10-2, ranked 16th in the nation, playing great defense. And I think the Wildcats are a little bit off the mark or off what we anticipated or expected them to be this year. Only 7-5 and ranked in the top 25. There may be a little residual carryover on people's respect for this Arizona team.
Yeah, I do like Arizona. I mean, they're coming off a 9-point win against a decent TCU team, 90-81 the final in that game. The thing I like about Arizona is they play good, sound team defense, and they're kind of a throwback, a traditional type defense with the zone. So they force you to beat them from the outside, and therein lies the rub for Cincinnati. Can their guards knock down the outside shot on a consistent basis against a good half-court defense? Zone defense for Arizona, I think, will continue to prevail. Cincinnati coming off a good win against Kansas State. They won by 3, 70-67. Right. But if you look at Cincinnati's record, Chip, I really feel that it's a bit inflated. They've really beat the teams they were supposed to, but they beat up on some weak sisters. They have an average defense overall. So I like Arizona in this matchup.
All right, Scott, you mentioned Arizona's defense, which is only giving up 68 points a game. But Cincinnati's built their wins on defense. Maybe their competition hasn't been as strong as you had said, but they're only giving up 59.5 points a game. It ranks 9th in the country. So I think their attitude on the defensive end is really going to cause trouble. They've gone over 2 of 12 games. So I think you mentioned Arizona's defense. I'm mentioning the Bearcats defense myself. I think the game is destined to stay under the total with these 2 teams coming at each other, scrapping and clawing, putting a little pressure on each other. And when you're putting that kind of pressure on full court, the shooting percentages drop, Scott. So I wouldn't be surprised at all that this game stays well under the total, Arizona and Cincinnati. We have another great game here in the SEC. So, Scott, we have a matchup of a game that turned out way, I guess what's the word? I'm not going to say an upset. Yeah, an upset. The result on the football basketball season, we have Oklahoma 13-0 going to Alabama 11-2, and Alabama's still ranked higher at number 5. This is a great matchup here with these 2 teams, and Oklahoma has come on in basketball of recent years, and Alabama as well. Last year and the year before had some great runs.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun matchups. I mean, you brought up some great points in the intro, Chip. Oklahoma, undefeated. And you know me, I never bet on a trend to end. And the reason is you can only lose one time. I believe, to your point, 13 consecutive wins, looking good, feeling good at this point. They play great defense. They're limiting the opposition to only 27.1% from the 3-point line. And that plays right into the weakness of Alabama because they're not a very good 3-point shooting team. Yet Oklahoma does a pretty good job shooting the 3 ball at 37%. But when you look at Alabama, this is a bit of an anomaly for a team that's in the top 5. They have talent. I get that. But The people lie, numbers don't. The fact is, this team, they average 13 turnovers a contest. That's a ton. That's 3 points in transition for Oklahoma. And they've got to be better. They have to be better in protecting the ball. They have to be better in shooting the three ball. They're shooting 31.7% from the 3-point line.
Yep.
I like the Sooners to remain undefeated in this matchup.
We're talking about some of the liabilities on this Crimson Tide and their offense are not quite, I think, as powerful as they have been in most recent seasons. But, Scott, they're leading the nation in scoring. They're scoring 89.9 points a game. And, this Oklahoma team is the same type of team where they're going to run and put shots up. They're taking so many shots. I mean, their pace is so quick that even though their percentages are lower, they're still scoring. And Oklahoma is scoring 83 points a game. And their defense is a little bit better than the Crimson Tide. But both these teams, their philosophy is to run the floor, put the ball up, grab it off the board, and put it back up again. I think it goes over the total. Oklahoma and Alabama should be one of the more interesting basketball games this weekend, as opposed to that annihilation 24-3 win that the Sooners laid on the Crimson Tide, kept them out of course, the CFP. Is that what college football playoffs? Scott, I have had so much difficulty every year with them changing, the letters and the name and the qualifications for these championships. And next year, most likely, we're going to go to 16 teams. We're going to stay at 12. I don't know. Their seeding process, we talked about that, it was absolutely absurd. And every seeded team so far has been blown out. Arizona State was sort of blown out, but they came back and made it a game and almost won. But otherwise, they've all lost straight up. Another big-time basketball game with two rivals that go head-to-head in football. They go head-to-head in every sport, and that is Texas and Texas A&M, Scott. And A&M is a team that plays defense, and Texas is a team that also is going to make you earn your shots and your baskets.
Yeah, I love this matchup because you're talking about an in-state bitter rivalry. I don't care if you have Texas taking on Texas A&M. I don't care if it's in women's badminton. There's animosity. There's no love lost between these two universities. So again, it's always going to be fun to watch. I tend to lean on the under in this contest. I look for a knockdown, drag-out affair. You're looking at Texas. They beat Northwestern State, nothing to brag about, but still they won convincingly by 24 points, 77-53. And likewise with A&M, nothing to brag about. I mean, you line them up, they knock them down. They beat up on Abilene Christian by a score of 92-54. But in this specific matchup, I really like the under in this game.
All right, thank you, Scott. That's Scott Pritchard. And understand where this information is coming from. This is one of Las Vegas' top sports bettors live at the window. We're not talking about people playing make-believe games. This guy puts his life on the line each and every day, and you should listen to what he has to say. As a matter of fact, Scott, we had E.F. Hutton on the pro show, but your college information here is just as important and vital. I think this game stays under as well. These are two teams that start with defense, and the Longhorns and the Aggies. And by the way, out there, don't forget to give us a like. We're going to be here for college basketball. We're going to run the season as well as with the playoffs in college football. And you should each and every day log on to Winner's Circle, hosted by Sean Higgs, right here on gamblersworld.net, where they will be giving free selections on basketball on a daily basis. So you just log on, and then you can follow the buy links and find out whose premium plays are winning. And Scott's out there, I'm out there. We have a baker's dozen of world champion handicappers on this website, the top players in the country, people that put their name, their money on the line each and every day. So log on, follow the buy links, become a big-time gamblersworld.net winner. There's a plethora of winners out there for you. And every sport we've got covered. Sean, there you go. I knew I had to get to you at least once, right? I just mentioned Sean Higgins because Sean Higgs, he's the host of the Winner's Circle Daily Show. All right, this is Chip Chirimbes, and that is Scott Pritchard, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Pritchard and Chip Chirimbes saying thank you for viewing. I hope you catch us again next week. And remember, we've got nothing but winners for you out here this week. Log on, follow the buy links, and remember to bet under control, stay disciplined, and be an A-play winner. gamblersworld.net. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.